Welcome into a brand new episode of 300 Yards to Unknown. I'm Rick Gaiman, and in this episode, we are going into the world of tracking. That's right, these are Twitter accounts that are made for seemingly every golfer on the PGA Tour, on the LPGA, the Korn Ferry, basically anything that give shot-by-shot updates on that player. It's a very interesting world. I've got a real life tracker on the show to ask questions that have been tinkering around in my brain for months. So I hope you enjoy. All right, let me welcome in Anthony, but he might be better known as HV3Tracker. This is very exciting. I have lots of questions for you, but first off, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I've listened to the podcast for a few years now, and I never thought I'd be on, but I appreciate the chance. And yeah, I don't think I've ever. I pretty much go by Harold or HV3 on Twitter now because that's all I get. I don't even think anyone knows my actual name on there. So
Yeah, I imagine that is true. I have so many questions, but let's just start with getting everybody up to speed on what a tracker account is. When someone says you are HV3Tracker, what does that exactly mean?
well, some people, at least on my account, think I'm actually Harold, which is interesting sometimes. They'll see that, I guess, the handle, and they'll assume I'm the player, and they start commenting. I think you actually confused us one time when
I would not be surprised if I did. Yes.
Yeah, I posted my best score all time in real golf, and then you said, "Wow, I'm shocked that Harold had never broken 80 or something like that," and then you realized it was actually me.
So good. Okay, so there's confusion. Confusion happens.
Yeah, but other than that,
often.
basically, yeah, I mean, it's tracking. I mean, I guess you could do it for any professional sport, but really, it's for golf for individual players. A person, or a team of people, create an account, and then they just track their favorite golfer through their tournament. Some people do shot-by-shot tracking. Other people, if they have a job or whatever, they might do tournament or just when they're in contention. There's a lot of different styles, but yeah, basically updates and tracking of whatever player you want.
Yeah, so this Twitter account, which is the handle is at HV3Tracker. You kind of do this. You do the shot by shot version of this, right? I mean, I was following along today because I wanted to get a taste for, what we were dealing with, and yeah, it's literally shot by shot describing each moment throughout Harold's round.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, funny thing is, we're just using the same tools everyone else has, like TourCast on the PGA Tour site, Bet365. I've actually used that a few times. It's faster than the PGA tracking. But yeah, we're just using the same tools everyone else has. It's just a way for us to get, I guess, information out to people so they don't have to check their browser. They can just flip on Twitter or get notifications, and I think it's a quicker update. But yeah, pretty much just exactly what's happening on the course. We're just telling people what they're doing. And some people, the ones that actually are serious about this, they go to the tournaments and then they really know what's going on. So,
okay, they follow them in real life and see shot for shot what's happening.
Well, obviously, the most famous of all time, Tiger Woods, the Tiger Tracker, but rest in peace.
We'll talk about the Tiger Tracker in a bit because I imagine that's what spurred a lot of these tracker accounts. So, why HV3? Why did you choose him? Because I imagine if you're thinking, okay, were you an HV3 fan and then you said, I'm going to become a tracker? Or were you like, I'm going to do a tracker. Who should I pick?
I've always been a lifelong Phil Mickelson fan. Like he was the guy I gravitated towards, him and Bubba really, but then it was really Phil for a while. And then like about 2018, 2019, I started realizing, you know what, this guy's kind of getting old. He might not be doing the PGA Tour much more. I should probably find someone else to latch onto, just a younger guy. So I'm not like retiring when Phil retires as a fan. And then 2020, it was a Genesis Invitational. If you remember that tournament,
I remember it vividly.
Had the lead on the 10th tee. I was watching the tournament.
I remember exactly what happens next.
Okay, well, this might be bringing back some PTSD for some other Harold fans, but yeah, he topped his tee shot. I think we got the video like half an hour after yet.
Yeah, it was not on TV. Yeah, and they showed it later.
Yeah, but I hopped on Twitter. I thought it'd be funny just if I started tracking him. It was a joke at that point. I wasn't that serious about it. And then the rest of the round, I was actually, you know what? I kind of like this guy. I might stick with it. Then next tournament, I don't remember what it would have been. It might have been Phoenix. No, it would have been
Yeah, probably something in the Florida swing.
yeah, Players. It might have been the Players. Which if it was the Players, that was the last tournament we had. But yeah, I started tracking him, and I was like, this is kind of fun. I looked up more information about him. I remember seeing him at the PGA in 2019, but I wasn't really a fan at that point. And then I really liked, everything he was about, how he is as a person. And then I thought, I'm actually going to maybe start tracking him. Then we had like a 4-month break. And then he came back at the Charles Schwab, had the lead after 36. And I got really into the tracking at that point. And I've kept up with it ever since.
Have you missed a tournament? What happens if you have something in your personal life going on?
Well, luckily for me, I'm not a busy person.
Okay.
But yeah, some people, I've actually had a few people fill in for me sometimes. Shane Lowry Tracker, he's very, he tracks for about 10 different accounts.
Really?
Yeah, he's great about it. I promised him I would shout him out. But yeah, I pretty much track every tournament. I'll miss a shot or two. I did sleep through one round, which he happened to shoot 5 or 6 under. He wasn't in contention, so nobody even cared. But now that my count's grown a little bit, and I think gotta stay on top of that a little bit more.
Yeah. Do you feel kind of a responsibility now that a lot more people are following you, and now HV3, I want to talk about the victory, but he just gets a victory over in Saudi Arabia. If he starts contending more often, are you going to feel this sense of responsibility to really kind of up your tracking game?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the followers I had before were the real diehards because they already would have found the account. But now the people that are kind of following are more like, hey, well, I saw that guy win. Might be a cool guy to root for. And now it's like, yeah, I want to keep these guys updated. And I don't know if it's any extra pressure because I think I've done a pretty good job of tracking most tournaments at this point.
Do you find yourself like what does a victory feel like in the tracking world, right? Like we just got a victory that probably for you, I don't know where you're located, but I imagine it was overnight hours in Saudi Arabia. And
I was actually in Saudi. I was tracking it live.
Oh, that'd be cool.
No, it's especially I'm sure you're familiar with the close calls he's had.
Yeah.
And all the times I've gotten close. Just the previous tournament, the Amex had the lead on Sunday. It was like, oh my God, this actually might be happening. Then bit of a disaster. And kind of, yeah, I didn't think I was going to experience for a while because I kind of just got in my mind that, he's a great golfer, but he might not just be able to win. And it's kind of interesting because obviously I'm not him, I'm just kind of living vicariously through him, but it really felt like exhilarating just to see him so happy.
That's awesome.
It was more just like, I know how hard he's worked. I know I've gotten not close to him, but I felt like I'm pretty close to him, and just to see him break through, it was pretty sweet.
That's awesome. Now, I guess the opposite end of the spectrum is he could go through times that are miscut, you know what I mean? Like he's struggling. Do you ever find yourself where he's out of it on a Friday, he's not going to win, and you're thinking, you know what, if he just makes bogey here, I don't have to track the next 2 days. Have you ever had that thought?
Yeah, 100% has come to my mind of where he's, close to the cut line, but I know that he probably doesn't have it that week. So the weekends, would just probably. Well, the thing is, yeah, when you make the cut, you get enough. Your tee time is early, so that means. Luckily, I'm not on the West Coast, or that would be even earlier. But still, anytime I can get a little extra sleep, and sometimes, I admittedly will. But in terms of getting the motions of tracking when your player's up or down, there are some trackers that are very even keel that makes a bogey, makes a birdie, whatever, at least in terms of their tweeting. It's the same. Me, pretty much, if he makes a bogey, it's the end of the world. He makes a birdie, it's the greatest thing ever. And I have to control that a little bit because
although I imagine the people who are following are pretty diehard HV3 fans, so they might not mind the roller coasters so much.
Yeah,
what I mean?
Thing is, Harold himself, we've had a few interactions. I know he doesn't like that. When okay. Yeah, he's I try to get better at it because he he did mention that, maybe somebody like, since I'm on his team, that he wants, just positivity around that, which I completely get. Like from his point of view, it's just really hard as a fan, just of any team to control that and to not, kind of go with the flow of the round.
That is interesting because let's play this out for a bit here. HV3 starts contending more. You start to grow a larger and larger following. You are now basically an unofficial extension of his team, right? And kind of representing his brand. So you mentioned,
Yeah.
have you had interactions with him? Anybody on his team? Have you thought about what that might be like if more and more people are looking to you as kind of, one of the voices of his camp?
Yeah, his caddy and then him, we've had a few DMs back and forth. Been really cool. But yeah, they both kind of just mentioned that they're happy. It's really cool. I'm tracking, and then I think it might have been one tournament in particular. I was just kind of really I don't want to say attacking his play, but I was just like, wow, he's not playing well, and they just want, what, if you're part of the team, we kind of want positivity from you because you are representing us, like you say. I don't know if it's like that for every golfer, but I can imagine, you wouldn't want someone that has your name on their Twitter kind of.
I hadn't considered that. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
It's also interesting to consider, like, you're a professional golfer. You have this person who has a Twitter account actually tracking you. It's kind of a weird experience, I would imagine.
Yeah, I imagine it would be, but it would be cool that someone was willing to do that with their free time and spend it that way and be a fan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hadn't considered now it's part of the HV3 brand almost.
There was I think it was Houston. He ended up withdrawing, but he was like the bottom of the leaderboard, and then he made a birdie to jump like out of last place. And I tweeted, kind of facetiously, like, "Wow, let's go!" And he replied to it, said, "You're a beauty, man." So yeah, it's weird picturing like a player after the rounds going through Twitter and saying, "Oh, hey man, it's HV3Tracker. Wonder what he's tweeting about me."
That's so cool. You kind of alluded to this a little bit, and I want to dive into it as well. There is an entire community of trackers. I have stumbled across tracker accounts that I couldn't believe existed. I don't want to. Well, I mean, like I've seen like Nick Watney tracker or like guys that don't have even a lot of starts. Now Nick Watney's had a decent career, but like there's kind of this underground community where it seems like every single golfer has a tracker.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't believe there are some not great players that have trackers that track every shot, not just like give updates, that track every shot, that must be fans of them and just care enough to do it. I'll give a shout out to Grayson SigTracker. He's not a bad golfer, but this guy tracks every shot. He gets excited about every birdie. It's great. But
do you talk to all the other trackers?
Yeah, there's a big group chat. There's some other group chats that a lot of people are in. I have a lot of interactions, and I feel obligated to shout out a few of them, if that's all right.
Please, by all means.
HVIIITracker.
I do.
He's been in the spaces quite a few times. Sungjae Tracker.
Yeah.
Morikawa Tracker, Shane Tracker, Xander Legion.
Legion, sure.
Yeah. Those are some of the guys I interact with a lot. I don't know them personally, but through Twitter, we've gotten pretty close. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the same interactions I have with people too, I don't know them personally, but I know them on Twitter. So what do these group chats look like? Do you share tips and tricks? Is it just like rooting for
it's just
your
pretty
golfers?
Much following the golf tournament, just because everyone, at least people that are playing are all kind of interested in it and following it, and just interactions. A lot of people getting upset with their own player. I do that a lot in there. So
yeah, you can voice it in the group chat. Just keep it off the Twitter, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes my tweets are a little different than what I'm saying in the DMs. So.
Got it. Okay. And now you mentioned that there are, I think you mentioned Shane Lowry Tracker, who is someone who has 10 or multiple tracker accounts, which I think if someone is listening to this.
Clarify, he doesn't. He just helps follow. He just helps track other accounts when people need them. Yeah.
Got it. So, and I guess what people might be listening to this and thinking, why, right? Is there a a financial benefit? Is that the end goal? Or is it truly just, hey, I like doing this. I like the guy I'm following. I'm going to be paying attention to the tournament anyway. I might as well be a resource for them.
Yeah, I can tell you firsthand there is no financial benefit whatsoever.
Okay,
But
fair enough.
unless First Cut wanted to sponsor me, I would not say no to
I'll
that.
pass the word up the
Okay.
up
But
the
yeah,
ladder there.
I think Tiger Tracker was the only person I know financially benefited because that was their job.
Right.
I believe it was a few people actually, but I don't know if that's ever been officially reported.
Yeah, so
Um,
that's kind of the rumors around that it's been official people. But sorry about that. I
yeah,
didn't mean to
I've
cut
seen
you off.
some rumors about who it is, but I feel like maybe that's some inside information I got, so I'll keep that to myself. But yeah, it's pretty much just doing it for the joy of doing it. It's like a hobby, like you do anything else. Just play golf instead. I also play golf, but just tracking golf, and just like you would root for any other team, you're just rooting for a player, and then you're tweeting about it like any other fan account.
Got it.
I know that
Now,
in terms of the financial part of it, I think Twitter recently added a feature. I haven't tested it out yet, where you can like set money through, these transfer services.
they have
Tips.
They have tips. Yes.
Yeah, so that might be something people explore, especially like the bigger accounts that like the really big accounts that a lot of people are following, could probably get a few bucks out of it just for people that appreciate the
Right.
tracking. And another thing for DFS and betting purposes, I'm sure, that plays a big part of actually tracking how your guys are doing. So I'm sure that might be something that happens down the road.
For sure. Now, I imagine there are some weeks that are easier than others. You mentioned using the Tourcast feature, using the shot tracker feature. What about in weeks where that's not available? What do we
Well,
do?
yeah,
How do we track?
last week, from the Asian tour, they have nothing. They have a
Right.
leaderboard that was like 5 minutes behind. They had fantastic coverage in Golf Channel, like
Yeah.
throughout the entire round. If they didn't have that, I would have had nothing. But yeah, for like Pebble, Farmers, American Express, where they have multiple courses and not all the courses have the tracker. What they have is, I'm sure you might know, it's like not shot link, but they have like the shot one from Tee Box, shot
Yeah,
two.
shot 2 from fairway,
Yeah,
shot 3 from green.
shot two from other, which I never know what other means. Who knows what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
somewhere far away from the
that's
fairway.
that's when I think my Koba is completely like that. Those are not the easiest weeks. I almost hope my guy is not playing well then, because it would just be hard to follow them in
Yeah.
contention. But yeah, like 90% of the PGA Tour schedule uses Tourcast, thankfully.
Now, really, I imagine the genesis of all this, and we talked about it, is the Tiger Tracker, which was essentially a full-time job. I believe it was through Golf Channel, wasn't it? Tiger Tracker through
Yeah,
Golf Channel, and that account would literally, yes, be boots on the ground at all these tournaments. They'd fly them around. Anytime there was a press conference or whatever, Tiger Tracker was there, and then Tiger Tracker no longer exists. And then in the years after, we found, it's probably multiple people, and they shared this job because it would be too hard for one person to actually do it. But I imagine that Tiger Tracker and the popularity of it and kind of the lore of it is what really created all of these other tracker accounts. Is that safe to say?
yeah. I don't know if there ever was a tracker before him. I don't know them. I don't know when they came about. Do you happen to know? Do you remember that
I
year?
don't know. It
Okay.
feels like it's been around forever, but I
Probably
mean,
like
I don't know.
2013, maybe something like that. So I
Yeah.
don't know if there are any trackers beforehand, but obviously after that point, the tracker community, that's pretty much where the genesis of it, like you said. Like that was the big tracker. Of course, I was a Tiger fan, so I followed that
Sure.
account, and that was the biggest track. I mean, he had like
Oh,
700,000
yeah.
followers.
I mean, it was outrageous. And I mean,
He's
it was every quote from a press conference. And I can't imagine how much they were spending to track that. And obviously, if it's the Golf Channel, they were going to be on site and doing a lot of stuff anyway. But yeah, it was a really unbelievable tracker.
Yeah, so maybe that created a false sense of what tracking was for everyone, that you're going to get paid to do this. Because like I said, I think a lot of people, myself, I just got a job, so it's probably going to change for me. But there are people that have jobs and do this, and I don't know how they possibly juggle like real full-time jobs and tracking without getting paid. It's the really big dedication.
we talked about your motivations, which are very much just enjoying HV3, and you're going to be following the tournament, and you could be a really great resource. But do you think that there are others out there who are hoping to eventually make money off of it? Maybe it's meet the players, maybe it's go to more events. Like, do you think there are other motivations for other tracker accounts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna guess not every tracker is like super passionate about their player. They might just be doing it because they see an opportunity for the, especially the, like there are some bigger players that don't currently have a tracker. So I think like I can't name them off the top of my head, but or players that come up, you know, younger players that come up, there's an opportunity. I'm sure people might latch onto them just to see what can come of it, not necessarily because they're a fan. I know like
Yeah.
Xander Legion, he actually went to, I think it was, I don't remember if it was Kapalua. It was one of the Hawaiian tournaments, and
Oh, wow.
he actually hung out with Xander's team. It was really cool. His caddy like had him come out there. So there are opportunities like that, and obviously that's not why he started tracking. He was just a Xander fan, and then that kind of
Right.
came up organically. So
We've seen a lot of younger players immediately find success on the PGA Tour. Colin Morikawa, Matthew Wolff, Victor Hovland. Is there is there going to be a race for like these young guys when they get on the PGA Tour? Is there a race to be the Grayson Sig tracker or to be the Cole Hammer tracker or whatever is like
yeah,
whoever is coming next? Like is that are we going to see are we going to see 10 different trackers for all these young players and then one or two will eventually become
it's
successful?
probably going to be whoever creates the count the soonest, and then not even like when they get the tour. Like somebody could probably create a Cole Hammer, or you can even say an Akshay Bhatia tracker because that guy. I think he might be the next
Yeah.
big one.
Are you sitting
Actually,
on any tracker accounts that you're getting ready to use right now?
I can't say. Maybe I am.
Okay.
You'll find
Fair
out.
enough.
Yeah, they're like you said, like there are multiple accounts. Like Rory has 3 or 4 big accounts, not just like small trackers, big
Yeah.
accounts to track him. Just maybe it is like whoever uh, natural selection, whoever fights the hardest to survive and become the top tracker.
Yeah, I think Spieth might have a couple. I can't remember. I
Spieth
feel like
has
I
two
always see
big ones. Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
two big
two
ones
big ones.
that
Thankfully,
I've seen.
He had one, but that one kind of fell off. I didn't even know about that when I created mine, so I kind of pushed that person aside. To feel bad
Yeah,
about
so
that.
you won the war
I
for
did.
HV3. Okay.
Yes, yes,
Okay, so you mentioned, things might change for you, whether it's because of a job or something like that. Are you separate from the HV3 tracker? Like, for example, if something came up in your life where you could no longer track, would you pass the HV3 tracker account onto someone else, or would you just hold on to it and let it go dark?
that's a tough one. I have thought about that. Because I don't know. Like it does feel like if I passed it on to someone else, it wouldn't be the same. They wouldn't have maybe necessarily the same motivation or same interest, or maybe they'd be even better than me. I don't know. It just feels like I'll keep up as even if I have a job, I'll keep updating as long as I can. And it gets to the point where I truly think I can do anybody any service with this account, then I'll probably try to find someone to pass it on to. But it will be a sad moment in my life. But
Yeah, I imagine. Now, are you getting any inside information, whether it's from other trackers, whether it's from people on the teams, whether it's knowing his schedule moving forward or anything like that? Or are you literally just getting what everyone has access to, but you're doing the best job of aggregating everything and putting it in one spot quickly and
yeah,
efficiently?
for the most part, is that I probably could ask their schedule and I could probably find it out. I haven't done that yet. Harold did tell me himself after one tournament, one round, that his driver had broke. No one knew that, and
Okay.
he'd like hit a bunch of terrible drives, and I was able to use that information.
There you go. So that's
So yeah,
obviously that feels like, I mean, that's a big win, right? When you're the only person
yeah,
on the
yeah,
news, you can send that out and it's like boom. Now I've got the inside scoop.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know like the Spieth trackers, they have a lot of information. Like they know what's going on within his team. Um, and they do a lot of the work to find that out. I probably maybe necessarily don't care enough to like actually look into that to see what's going on because I don't know if my followers would care about that stuff, but there are some that do their work that do, like you said, that have a lot of that information.
Do you think any of these trackers are much closer to the players, like whether they are agents or managers or cousins or brother? You know what I mean? Like, are you think any of the trackers are with the teams more frequently?
I know there's. I'm trying to think. Like Mark Baldwin,
Yes. Yeah.
I think that tracker is pretty close to the team. There's another Solly from No Laying Up. I think that tracker might be close to the team, but those are kind of special cases because those aren't necessarily touring or guys that are playing the PGA Tour full time.
Right.
It might be even different. Like when you are tracking someone like a Corn Ferry Tour player or something like that, maybe, I mean, the only reason you probably would be tracking them is because you are.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, but for like the bigger names, I'd imagine that like that's just because completely from a fan interest. So yeah.
I mean, I can't. And something I hadn't considered before we started talking is I feel like the players and their teams should be very engaged with the trackers, because if that is the real time during the tournament kind of voice or perspective, I feel like it could be really cool if the players were to be, or even their agents or managers or caddies or whatever, were to really kind of build that following and help with it, because I feel like that would be beneficial for everybody.
Yeah, I might just like, I don't know, some players might not even be on Twitter, so they might not even aware that they have a tracker.
Sure.
But I completely agree. I think it's a great opportunity to expand your fan base, to get people following you more, know exactly what's going on. So if I ever become touring pro, then that's exactly what I do.
I find this whole thing fascinating. I don't want to take up too much of your time here, but are there anything, or like are there any things that people would not realize you do as a tracker, or maybe they're pros of being a tracker or cons of being a tracker that I haven't asked you about that people probably wouldn't consider?
Well, I did want to bring up just and maybe something that would interest you, the impact of betting in DFS, especially as that becomes just, more prevalent in golf, and how that's, tracking impacts that, because I do have some every now and then, I'll tweet something out and then I'll have someone tweet out, "Oh, come on, this guy's ruining my team," or something like that. Usually more negative than positive. There is kind of that aspect of it that people might be following you not because they're necessarily a fan, but because they're in it for their own reasons, and they want to get some money out of it. So yeah,
it makes sense though, because okay, so let's say every week I bet on 5 golfers and they're different golfers every single time, and I want to get real-time updates. The easiest way for me to kind of do that is follow a tracker, turn on the notifications, and now I'm in the loop of everything that's happening. So I imagine, yeah, you're right, it would make sense that wagering, whether it's betting outrights or whatever, or fantasy, is probably a big driver of people wanting to know every single shot, because that's really the key, right? It's not, hey, he shot 2 under par.
Because you can get that stuff like the PGA Tour app. You can get the whole, oh, this guy shot birdie on 3, bogey on 4. You get that stuff, but actually, you want to know, maybe some people, if they're betting, they don't care. They just want to know what happens at the end of the round. But other people, you're right, like they do want to know exactly what's happening, especially the final round. And to have that available on Twitter, just in Instagram, just like you can pull it up, scroll through, and see exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I want to know if he has a 12-foot putt coming up for birdie, and I want to know if he makes it as soon as it happens. So it makes complete sense. Okay, any other things that I might not be considering about the world of tracking?
Well, funny thing is, just in terms of internationally, there are people in the there are trackers based in the United States, as far as I know, that track international golfers, but there are also international, trackers that track the player American golf. And I think it's really interesting that there's kind of this cross between, you don't necessarily have to, like people, like there's a tracker in Australia who tracks American golfer. So that means this guy, I'm pretty sure it's a 12-hour difference, I want to say. So this guy, if he has like a 3 p.m. tee time Eastern time, that means this guy's getting up
Oh
3
my
a.m. in the
gosh.
morning to track that. And I
I
think
wonder if they were already up and watching and they were like, well, if I'm going to be up at these weird hours, maybe I should just start tracking somebody. But it is interesting because there is an international flair. I know there is it's not the Victor Hovland tracker that comes into the Twitter spaces, but I know there is a Hovland tracker that also tweets in Norwegian as
in
well.
Norwegian, and there's a Hideki tracker that tweets in Japanese. So
Right, which
yeah,
I imagine is very valuable for getting the information back home to the respective countries.
yeah. I don't even like. There might be accounts that I don't even know because they wouldn't show up in my language or something. That might
Yeah,
be like based off of some other country. That there's like a whole different like Twitter community there.
yeah,
Yeah,
wow.
especially yeah, because Victor Hovland's interesting because he's like he grew up in the United States. I'm pretty sure he came or played golf in the United States and like speaks great English and all that. But then he also has this like Norwegian background. He has these diehard Norwegian fans that the United States based Victor Hovland tracker. He'll have people in his replies like speaking in Norwegian and he doesn't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, he doesn't know what's going on there, right? And yeah, Victor will do press conferences in both languages as well, which is
Yeah,
kind of cool.
and also Ireland. I don't know if you're aware, but Ireland is crazy about golf. I,
I can imagine.
I didn't know that. I figured it would be soccer and rugby and all that, but no, they every single Irish tracker that's created within weeks, they have like 3,000 followers. Like Seamus Power Tracker, that guy, like he has a crazy account. There's a Leona Maguire tracker in the LPGA Tour,
Oh wow, okay.
and then John Murphy tracker, Project Harrington tracker. Ireland loves their golf, and they have a great following on Twitter. So I thought that was interesting. Wouldn't expect that.
I would not have expected that either. That is awesome stuff. Well, I appreciate a little education into the world of tracking. Anthony, better known as HV3Tracker, can be found on Twitter at HV3Tracker and also on Instagram, right? Tracking HV3. Is
Yes,
that
I
right?
don't do like shot by shot tracking, but I do updates, and especially this last week, I posted a lot of things on there. So if you want to follow me, but Twitter is where it's at. That's where all the action is.
Twitter is where it's at. Thank you so much for doing this. I really do appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. I'll let you record your round recap soon.